to root out illegal Somali immigrants. The operation targeting as many as 500 Somalis in the city.
Tactical teams just pulled off the biggest rescue in history on a tiny island off the California coast. They were looking for Amina and Ibrahim, the so-called saviors of the Somali community who had accepted awards from mayors and governors. For starters, hands down, nobody expected to find a high-tech command center and rows of tiny rooms hidden deep underground. These elites were not just moving kids, they were tracking them on digital screens like they were cargo. So here's the deal. This was not a charity, it was a high-level criminal business. Silent hammer at sea. The Pacific Ocean was quiet at 4:32 in the morning along the California coast. Thick fog covered the cliffs where a secret place known as Serenity Cove sat hidden from the world. Most people thought this island was just a beautiful home for Amina Hassan Osman and her husband Ibrahim Khaled Rashid. They were seen as the best of the best, famous stars who moved from Somalia to become the most loved people in the charity world. Their group, Hope Horizon International, told everyone they had saved more than 22,000 kids who had no parents. They were so famous that they even spoke at the United Nations and had dinner with the most important leaders from around the world. But that big, shiny image was about to break into a million pieces. More than 200 agents from the FBI and other government groups were waiting in the dark just past the waves. They were not there to take pictures or give out more awards. They were there because experts had found something terrible buried deep inside the couple's computer records. At least 3,412 children linked to their programs had simply disappeared. There were no school records, no papers showing they went back home, and no one knew where they were. Inside secret financial servers they took 3 weeks before, the agents found the proof they needed. It showed shipping lists, pay dates, and a plan that made even the toughest agents feel sick. This was not a charity for kids. It was a high-level business that used helping people as a mask for something evil. The air felt heavy with salt and fear as the boats moved closer. At 4:47 in the morning, a fleet of fast boats and 2 tactical watercraft turned off their engines about 600 yards from the shore. High above them, 2 helicopters stayed in the air with their lights off, their blades cutting through the fog without making much noise. From the main ship, a lead agent whispered into his headset for all units to move now. In just a few seconds, the teams hit the island from 4 different sides at once. Teams wearing night vision gear moved like shadows through the thick bushes along the coast. Some agents even slid down ropes from helicopters onto the roof of the giant mansion. This place was a fortress with marble columns and big pools, but it was built to keep people out. Security cameras were everywhere and the doors were made of thick steel to protect the lower levels. As the agents moved in, they were met with trouble right away. 3 armed guards started firing from a tower near the docks. Bright flashes and loud noises filled the air as the tactical teams used special tools to push forward. Within minutes, the guards were on the ground with their hands tied behind their backs. But the real part of the mission was only just starting. Inside the main part of the mansion, agents kicked through a heavy wood door and found what looked like a war room. Digital screens showed live video from places like Los Angeles, Sacramento, and even a secret landing strip in Nevada. One screen made the head agent stop in his tracks. It showed a grid of 60 small rooms, and each one had a bed and a camera. Inside those rooms, there were children waiting in the dark. One agent whispered into his radio that they had found the children. As the teams walked through the lower floors, they found a hidden staircase that went 3 levels under the ground. The walls were built to keep sound from getting out, and the doors needed a special scan to open. The agents used a small blast to blow the door open. What they found inside confirmed the worst fears of the entire team. These famous people were not just moving kids from one place to another, they were keeping a list of them like items in a store. You are about to see the biggest rescue of children ever done on American soil. This morning's raid on the island was about more than just arresting a couple. It was about tearing down a giant lie that everyone believed. Amina and Ibrahim were seen as people who could not be touched. They used their background and their friends in war zones to make everyone think they were heroes. They told the world they were saving kids who had lost everything. They collected $680 million in gifts from people who wanted to help. But the truth was that they were running a business for money. They used their foundation to get travel papers for kids, telling the government the kids needed doctors or schools in America. But once the kids got here, they vanished into a secret system run from this very island. The raid was done with very careful planning. By 5:18 in the morning, agents had secured 87 children inside the underground rooms. The kids were between 6 and 16 years old. None of them had any ID papers, and none of them knew where their moms or dads were. Many of them spoke different languages like Somali, Arabic, or Swahili. Doctors were called in right away to help. The agents gave them blankets and spoke softly to tell them they were finally safe. While this was happening, another team went to the private office to find the couple. Tunnels of Lost Souls. Inside a room filled with expensive books and awards, agents found Amina and Ibrahim. They were not with the children or in the hidden tunnels. They were sitting at a big table, busy trying to destroy papers. When the agents came through the door, Amina looked up and smiled as if nothing was wrong. She tried to say there was a big misunderstanding, but the paper shredder was still running and the computers were still hot. In just a few minutes, both of them were in handcuffs. There were no cameras there to capture their smiles this time. But the most important evidence was not the papers in that room. It was something the computer experts found when they broke into the main server. They found a map called Project Mercy Corridor. This was not just about one island. It was a giant web that reached across 7 different countries. Most scary of all, the map showed that this operation was being protected by 34 people working inside the government. By 7:03 in the morning, the whole island was locked down. Teams moved through every room, taking pictures and marking evidence. The real shock came when the experts looked at the server from the underground command center. The room went totally quiet when they saw what was on the screen. It was a digital map of a worldwide system designed to move children across borders using the excuse of charity and adoption. The system worked through more than 40 fake companies. Some were listed as adoption offices in Nevada, others as refugee groups in Washington, and one was even a shipping company in Los Angeles. On paper, they all looked real. They had tax papers and reports that looked perfect, but every single one of them was just a way to move kids and money through a secret pipeline. Money experts traced the cash and found that over 8 years, the couple had taken in hundreds of millions of dollars. But only 11% of that money was actually spent on helping anyone. The rest of the money went to secret bank accounts in other countries. It was used to buy fancy houses, fast cars, and expensive art. One investigator said it very clearly. This was not charity work, it was a business that sold children. But the most terrible discovery came when they looked at flight records and shipping logs. Between 2018 and 2026, the Foundation had led over 300 transport missions. On paper, these were trips for schools or doctors. In reality, they were secret routes for trafficking kids while using special rules to avoid being searched. The routes worked like a machine. Kids were taken from camps far away, flown to places in California or Washington, and then processed through fake agencies. From there, they were sent on private boats or planes to rich people in other parts of the world. The whole thing worked because people in power were helping them. This is the part that makes everyone angry. These people operated for 10 years because they were respected and had the right friends. Does our society trust people too much just because they have a fancy title? When we see a shiny charity with famous people supporting it, do we stop asking where the money is really going? Think about that as we look at what happened next. Inside one of the hard drives, agents found a plan to make the business even bigger. They wanted to partner with more groups and set up hubs in Texas and Florida. They even wanted to put their own people inside the border offices to make moving kids even easier. Their goal was 10,000 children every single year. It was not a mistake, it was a cold plan to make billions of dollars. Shadows across 7 nations. At 9:14 in the morning, a giant digital map was put up on a wall in a command center in Los Angeles. Red dots started flashing all over California, Nevada, Arizona, and Washington. Each dot was a place linked to Project Mercy Corridor. There were safe houses, shipping centers, and private airports. The head of the FBI stood in front of the map with thousands of agents ready to move. This was no longer just a small investigation, it was now a massive mission to break the entire system at once. The order was given to move on every location at the exact same time so no one could warn the others. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the hammer dropped in Los Angeles. At a warehouse near the port, 17 tactical teams broke through the gates. This building was supposed to be for shipping, but agents found it was actually a place to hold kids. They found 42 children between the ages of 7 and 14. They were sitting on bunk beds with small bags, thinking they were waiting for interviews. But the board on the wall listed them as cargo that was supposed to be sent to Asia on a ship. The agents also found over $3 million in cash and 16 fake passports hidden in the office. In Sacramento, agents raided a luxury home and found a secret door behind a wine rack. It led to a basement where 63 more children were being kept. Security video showed that rich people had been coming to this house to look at the kids like they were shopping in a store. In Nevada, agents stopped 2 private jets right as they were about to take off from a small airport. The paper said the kids were delegates for a trip to Dubai. Agents swarmed the planes and rescued 29 children from the cabins. In Washington state, the Coast Guard stopped a luxury yacht that was trying to sneak away in the fog. The crew tried to fight back, but they were quickly stopped. When agents opened the bottom of the boat, they found 38 children huddling together. But that was not all they found on that yacht. Next to the children were waterproof crates filled with hundreds of pounds of dangerous illegal substances. This proved that the network was not just moving people. They were using the same secret routes to move substances across the country because they knew no one would check a boat that was supposed to be for charity. By 2:47 in the afternoon, the mission was over. The numbers were hard to believe. They had rescued 450 children and arrested 87 people in just one day. They also took over $14 million in cash and a huge amount of substances. But the biggest question remained: how did they get away with it for so long? The answer was found in the files of the 34 corrupt officials. The network did not survive by hiding in the shadows. It survived because people on the inside were paid to look the other way. There were officers who signed papers without checking them and inspectors who ignored the cargo on the boats. There were even judges who signed over custody of children without ever looking at the evidence. They were all paid in cash or expensive gifts to let the business keep running. When younger officers tried to report problems, they were told to stay quiet and not slow down the charity work. The whole system was broken from the inside out, and that is why it took so long to catch them. Now, do you think we should stop giving special rules to charities just because they look respectable? Do you think there are other groups out there doing the same thing right now? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe so you do not miss our next big investigation.